Okay, so today we are looking at graphing. So that's our very last lesson before the test, okay? And your goal here is to be able to choose and interpret appropriate labels and scales. So that means like what numbers you're putting on the side of your graph, okay? For situations on a graph, and then determine domain and range. So first of all, you need to know what domain and range are. So domain, does anyone know what domain is? It is the, yeah? No, but you'll kind of use that. So it is the x values on a graph. That's okay. Domain are the x values on a graph. So if they say like, what is the domain? They want you to tell, okay, what x values were used on that. All right, so range is the opposite. So what do you think range is?
Could it possibly be the y?
You are correct. It could be the y. Okay, so now, and you guys I'm sure know quite a few of these at least, we're going to label these parts of the graph, okay? Because they're going to ask you to sort of recognize like what quadrant would you use and that sort of thing. So let's start with the easy part. Which one is the y-axis? Which one?
The bottom.
Vertical or horizontal one?
Horizontal.
No, the one going up. Yes, vertical. So this is my y-axis. So use that. Yeah, like the base. Right, yeah. Okay, the x-axis then is going to be going the other way. So if you remember, x-axis tells you left or right. You don't have to write this. I'm just how to move left or right from the origin, and the y tells you up or down. Okay, where is the origin, since I just mentioned that? Where's the origin at? The center here. So let's just gonna draw a little arrow there. Origin. Okay, now the quadrants can be a little bit tricky because they go counterclockwise. And here's how I like to think of it. Quadrant 1 is where all of the positive numbers are at. So which square is that? Right. Here? Yep. So quad 1. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I just put the number.
Yeah, we can do Q1.
Q1.
Oop. Okay, so if they go counterclockwise, which one is 2?
The one at the bottom of it.
Nope, that would be clockwise. So clock goes this way, right? So I'm going to go backwards. So, right, top left, yes.
I said that and then you said the bottom is wrong.
Someone said bottom, sorry. Okay, then I'm going to go one more time for
Here's my trick.
quadrant 3.
Here's my trick, how I remember it. So when you write a Q for...
Okay, so that leaves our last little square here to be quadrant Q. Quadrant 4. Okay, so look at our little ordered pair blanks right here. Looking at that. Which of those is the x coordinate?
The
First one. So I'm just going to say x coordinate. Can't say it at all. All right, and then second is our y coordinate. Okay, that's important when you're plotting your points that you know which one comes first there. Okay, so now we're going to look at, they give you this relationship or this set of data here with our x and y values, and you want to think about which quadrant each of those is going to be in. It could be more than one as well, okay, because you could have a line that goes, you know, across from, maybe it goes here and then across. Well, that actually went through 3 quadrants, so be careful, it could be more than one. All right, so if you want, maybe let's just plot each of them, okay? So I'm going to do the first one here. So I have 3, -6. Well, remember, x tells you, I'll write this over here for you guys, or at the bottom. For x value, if it's positive, do we go right or left?
right.
Positive goes, yeah, right. Negative goes left. What about so y values, if it's positive, what direction do we go? If it's y and it's positive, we're going to go up or down? Up or down? Up.
Which one sounds positive?
Yeah.
Thumbs up would be positive, thumbs down would be negative, right?
Negative, we go down. Okay, so if you forget, check that. All right, so the first one I have 3, -6 here. So I'm going to go from the origin, remember, 1, 2, 3, and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so go ahead and take a minute and plot just the other ones for number 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and check that. So I could only fit these first 3 here, but that's okay because I kind of see that pattern continuing. So what quadrant are we in for this then? Quadrant 4. Is it only quadrant 4? Is it only quadrant 4? Yes, so that's good. All right, let's look at our second one. So we have negative x values, right? And then we have negative y values. So are they all negative on both of them? Are all of the x's negative?
Yes.
Are all of the y's negative? So we're not going to be in multiple quadrants then, okay? So you can plot your first one, just kind of see if I'm at the origin here. Which way do I need to go for -1, -2? Left 1 and then down 2. Okay, I could do my other one just to kind of check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. So these look like they just keep going kind of this way, right? So what quadrant is that?
They're 3.
3.
Key 4 and key 3. Next one's gonna be quadrant 2.
Think.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, so the next one, our x values, we have some negatives, a 0, and then some positives, and then our y's are all positive, okay? So let's try those. So -4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 left, but it's +6, right? Oh, I don't want that color. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right there. So I want you guys to go ahead and plot the rest of these, and then we'll check back on what quadrants. So try to plot them and tell what quadrants. All right, so remember this one is going to be multiple quadrants, and the reason I know that is because I have negative x's and positive x's, okay? So I plotted -4, 6, we got -2, 5, 0, 4, 2, 5, and 4, 6. So what quadrants are these in?
1 and 2.
Q1 and quadrant 2. Make sure you name both of them, okay? There is a question like that on your test, but hopefully that's pretty straightforward, okay? Okay, so now we're going to actually construct a graph. This is a big point question on your test, so, but also it's just like a good, like this is something that is used a lot. Like you'll see graphs a lot in the real world kind of comparing like a trend for something or that sort of thing. So it's a good thing to have a knowledge of. So below is a data table that shows how long students studied and their test scores. So first of all, what quadrant would you need to graph this data? So we're not going to plot this one. I just want you to look at the numbers, the x values and the y values, which they didn't actually have. So which we're going to do x is our study time and y is our test score. Okay?
Yes.
So, because we want to show that test score, what the difference is, how it's going up or down. So, what quadrant would we need looking at those numbers? Drake? 1. How did you know that?
Because they're all positive.
They're all positive, which is our first quadrant. Okay. 2. What type of graph would be best to graph the data? Would we want to do a bar graph for this? So a bar graph, if you remember, like they would say, this many kids wanted chocolate milk, and this many wanted strawberry, whatever, you know? Okay? So if we're going to put it on this, though, what kind of graph are we talking? Line graph. No pie charts. Not right now.
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Okay, and lastly, create a graph below to represent the data. Be sure to include labels and appropriate increments for the axes. I'm also going to write and a title.
And a title.
Okay? All right, so let's start this off here. You guys said we only need quadrant 1, right? So don't do this.
Don't do this.
Why would I not? Why is this not the best use of my space?
Because uneven.
A ton of dots, they're all going to be over here, right? If I only need this, don't create every quadrant. Just use that quadrant. Okay? So looking at our table, what can I name my axis down here, my x-axis?
Study time.
Test score.
Test score.
Shoot.
Or no, sorry, you're right. Sorry,
Study
study time.
What?
Sorry, I flipped backwards
Because
there.
the x goes this way,
And then
and the y goes this way. That's why. So look right there on the top, you see where it
Okay.
says x is study time?
And don't put it too close to this line because we're going to have to make our numbers there, okay?
And what's the left-hand side of y study?
So the left side going up will be what?
Be test score.
Test score.
Oh, wait, my bad. Can I just share this?
Okay, now sometimes the hardest part seems to be the picking the scale or the numbers that you're going to put along here. So I want to look close at my numbers. So study time goes from 0 to 62. And then test scores go from 32 to 98. So I'm just going to pause for a second, and I want you guys to think about where I could start off and how many I should go up between each line. So pause and think. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pick tens for the bottom. So I start off at 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. I'm not going to label all the way because you get the idea, right? You can, though. You can label all the way.
10,
Or maybe I will. Just so we can see. Good.
Good count.
50,
So I go from 0 to 150.
8,
And do you guys know
200.
study time? Do you think what unit do you think they're using for that? Let's label that. They didn't tell us, but do you think that's hours?
No.
That would be crazy. They studied for more than a week. Probably minutes. So let's put minutes in parentheses here. And then what do you think test score is measuring in? Percentage. Good, Drake.
Hey man, I used to study for like months on end.
Okay, now test scores. Let's look at the y-axis. It starts at 32 is your smallest, and 98 is the biggest. Okay? So we have 15
I am so stupid.
spaces still, right? I'm going to show you one thing. You do not have to do it on this graph, but does anyone know what this means?
It means like you go from 0 to a bigger number. So
Perfect.
0
It means you skip those. It's called a break, okay? So if I wanted to skip like, I don't know, 50 or something, and just make this a 50, don't make that 50, but
Don't make it 50.
no, because we need 32. Then you could do that, okay?
Go to 34.
So we need 30 up to 98. So any ideas on what we could count by for that? We could count by 10s. That would be a lot because 30 to 98 is only like 70, and that would give us 150. But
Alright, so let's go by 8.
Let's go friendlier.
Let's go by
Nice
5.
friendly numbers. I'm gonna try to go- Okay, because what's 8
With
times 7?
solid stakes.
so we're going to use a break. So 0 to 30, and if we're going by 5s, 35. Oh, I'm going to show you one thing. What about this?
I put 34.
Hold on, look here. If I do this, what are they going by?
5.
They're still going by 5s here, okay? they're just not labeling this one in between. That's that you will see that, okay? So we'll try that.
You a little bit of work?
Nope.
It doesn't save you work to do
Well,
that.
then you're not writing as much. So I got 70, 80, 90, 100.
What?
Okay, so then I could go down there and do that with my others. All right, I am missing my points, right? So let's plot our points. So take a minute and plot your points. Okay, so since those were not perfectly on the grid lines, it is a little bit of a guess. So when I grade yours, I'll just see that it's like pretty close to what I have, okay? So we did say lines, so you can connect it. Okay, so overall, more study time resulted in what? What did more study time result in overall? So as it went right on the study time for the graph, as it went up, what happened to their score? It increased. Good. Okay, so let's look. Last thing I need, and this seems to be what people forget, is what do I need at the top of my graph? A title. This is kind of up to you. So you want to think, what's an appropriate title for this graph? So any ideas? What could we name it? What could we name this graph that has to do with study time and test scores?
Study time and test scores.
Study time and test scores.
Graph.
You could say, yeah, scores based on time. You could say effect of time, study time on scores, any of that, okay?
Science hypothesis.
I'm going to say that one like Drake said, the effect of study time on scores. Okay, so make sure you have. So what things do we need on our graph? If they give us title, X and Y axis labels, the number marking, so your scale, and then lastly, so you got title, and then lastly, your points. Plot your points and connect those. Okay?